freaking Frack Show, a podcast for the fans, by the fans.
A show about everything from the 90s to the thousands. Everything's on the table from the Backstreet Boys to Saving Private Ryan. Did I mention your son Matthew Taylor and Caleb Bryan? Yeah, the frickin' Frack Show. Yeah, the frickin' Frack Show. The Frick and Frack Show.
What's happening, brother?
What's going on, man?
Man, I wanted to kick this thing off by, hey, it's episode 83. I hope everybody can hear me. I hope I'm not breaking up, but I just wanted to say, hey, Frack, guess what? It's happy two-year week to you, my man. Happy 2-year week.
It's been 2 years, man. 2 years and almost 85 episodes, which I think is a pretty big accomplishment. And we got a lot more happening for the show, and a lot of crazy things, crazy opportunities have come our way, and it's been insane. Like lately, It's really gotten to where, like, I felt like our show was always like on top of things and just always like fun and great. But like lately, it's like the recognition is finally here to where we're getting these opportunities and we're getting asked to do different things, to be involved with different events and such. It's overwhelming.
Yeah. And as this one's coming out, you're gearing up for another con, right?
Yeah. This weekend, I'm officially not backing out. I'll be at Fandemic in Atlanta for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're gonna have a frickin' Frack Show booth there. Got some cool surprises that we won't reveal until we're there, and it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, you guys can still get your tickets. You guys can still get your tickets online here to go see everybody on the road. Without further ado, talking about cons, this past week, there was a big one. There was a 90s con, and we want to kick this thing off by bringing on some of the boots that were on the ground, right? Some of the people that were off and running.
It's a lot of people.
So my internet's cutting in and out. So what I want to know from each of you, we'll just go down the line. Did you guys meet up there? Did you see each other? Did you guys know each other beforehand?
Who are we starting with?
I would say Leah.
All right. No, I actually didn't know any of you guys beforehand. I did talk to a couple I know through my Instagram. Finally, at the end, I did meet up with Stephanie at the after party. We finally saw each other. It was really tough. I mean, the lines were so long. It was like impossible to even meet up with anybody. Like you had to be in a line. I didn't eat from like 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. when I left because one, the food line was so long, and two, like you had to choose, like, do you want to eat food or do you want to go see like the people that are there? So it was really tough.
It's a tough decision.
Yes.
Just making life-changing decisions standing in line, right? It's like being at the gas pump.
Lots of lines. That's what it was.
So who were you guys absolutely, I'm going to see these people when you got there? Let's go with Stephanie. Stephanie, then Cindy, then SJ, then Leah.
I only was going for Fatone. Hands down, favorite of all times, and I'd never met him before, and I've met all my other favorites of all time. So that's why I was going. And I had a couple friends that were going, and they said, you should come. And I was like, I can't go that far. That's crazy. I don't know. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I get to meet Fatone, and you never know. So that's why I went. Everything else was gravy, and it happened, so we're good.
Cindy, how about you?
Oh, this is going to come as a surprise to everyone, but I was going for Nick.
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know. What? Who?
What?
So talk about the Nick line. Okay, let's pause there. What was that? Okay, first of all, let's ask what everybody's thinking. How many times did you go through?
The whole weekend or just?
Yes, please. I want numbers. Let's talk digits.
Okay, first of all, his line was constantly long. My friends and I had the VIP, like the weekend VIP pass. So like the longest we ever waited in like the VIP line was like, I don't know, like 10 minutes at best. But he had like a constant line. I'd probably say, if I had to guess, over the 3 days, I probably went up there like 8 or 9 times.
I expected at least 12, but you know.
We had over-unders going. Talk about the line. I want to know about more about these lines, okay, that people had to endure. Was it like Worlds of Fun? I mean, what are we talking here?
What do you mean? Like just...
I didn't have any troubles with the lines. I never waited for Nick. Fatone's lines were, I was in the VIP line for Fatone, but he was only there on Sunday. And I think I probably waited 45 minutes, and that was in the VIP. Ooh. But he was still there at 5 o'clock. He was still there at 5 o'clock on Sunday, taking everybody who was in his line, and it was still in the overflow. Like, wow. The lines for me, the worst lines for me were for food.
Oh, those were horrible.
Yeah, the food line was longer than any line I waited in otherwise. But I did have the VIP, so that went a little faster.
Man. So in the future, get VIP.
Yes, 100%. Yes. I would agree.
If you don't like waiting in lines, yeah.
Even the media pass, like I would get like answers like, "Oh, sorry, you can't go in VIP," or "Oh yeah, you can go in VIP." I waited an hour for Nick. Like a whole hour for Nick, and I got up to the front, and the lady's like, "Oh, you're media? You could have been in the VIP line." So I waited for AJ, and like I got in the VIP line first, and she's like, "Oh no, sorry, you're media. You have to go in the regular line." So it was like I didn't know where I was.
That's crazy, man. A whole hour.
Yeah, I went from like first overflow to second overflow to third overflow, and then like he went outside to look at the snow and. Like I was like, oh my god, I'm never gonna make it. Then he's gonna take a lunch break, and I'm not gonna make it. And yeah, so it was like over an hour for Nick's.
Wow,
that's crazy. I think I waited maybe 15 minutes for AJ. I never went to. I never went to Nick. I never went to Nick.
Why?
I didn't go to Nick either.
What?
But because I love me some Backstreet Boys, but I went for Fatone, and then my friends were going to meet AJ, so I went with them. I wasn't going to do it, and I did, but I think I only waited probably 10 or 15 minutes for AJ too. His lines looked long, but Nick did have the overflow for sure.
Wow.
Well, even when I left at 5 on Saturday, like they still had like the 3 overflow lines for Nick and AJ. It was crazy. Like I could walk up, like I got the Hocus Pocus ones last, and I could just like walk right up and just do those. Like there was no VIP, no anything.
That was
it was still
the
crazy.
Nick's. The other thing though, Nick and AJ were there the whole time. Like they really were there. They weren't. They were always there, which was nice. Like. But that tells you how many people came to see them because their lines were always insane and they were always there.
I mean, it's like I tell people all the time. I actually had a conversation with someone from Fandemic earlier, and I said, when you think of 90s, what defines the 90s? And I said, I guarantee you in your top 5, it's Backstreet Boys is there. I mean, Backstreet Boys, defined so many things about the. I mean, even 2000s especially, but like the 90s. I mean, 97 was really that huge defining moment, but they were there for 96 and everything else. But it's no shocker that they stayed busy.
They were, and it was shocking to me. I'm an NSYNC girl. It's not shocking to me. I know how big Backstreet Boys is. I know it's.
Yeah,
the same. But it was shocking to walk in and see Nick, just see him standing there. I've never seen him that close up in my life. And just the people in line. But there were so many people there for Christopher Lloyd. Like,
oh yeah,
it was insane to see the vast, just the variety of fans that were there, young, old,
and that's what makes it so cool too. The idea and the concept of. There was somebody for somebody. It's like you had the Backstreet Boys, you had the NSYNC, you had Christopher Lloyd, you had, Sabrina. I mean, just, Feeling Matters. Like, there was somebody for somebody there.
And you had Nev Campbell for the horror genre.
I'm sorry, my babe, my woman. Yes.
She's amazing. I didn't meet her, but I saw the panel at the Party of Five.
I know. You wanted me to go stand in line and talk to her, but I was stuck in the other lines. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. I'm making that happen in about 3 weeks or so in Dallas. There's a huge horror convention, and of course, she and Stu and all these different people from Scream, Chucky, everything. They're all going to be there, so I'm going to have my defining moment with Nev. And but I just thought that it was the coolest thing ever to have her there, because once again, the defining moment for like horror movies, that kind of like even paved the way to change the way horror movies were, was Scream, which is my all-time favorite, like horror thriller kind of movies,
That's crazy. There's I love Scream, but I went for the night Party of Five panel.
So
and
this
so that
is
was
crazy.
a totally different situation, but it was so meaningful to see Nev that way.
What's crazy is I've never heard of Party of Five.
Me neither.
I hadn't either. I had never heard of it either.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out. I'm pretty sure I'm older than everybody else.
No,
That's
you're
what
like
I'm guessing.
we're like the same age.
I don't know. Like Party
I
of
want to
Five
go back and watch it now. Like,
it's defining
Yeah.
show
Me
for
too.
me.
Me too. I looked it up the other night and I was like, wait, what is Party of Five? And
yeah.
it was a series with Nev and
Scott Wolf and
Scott Wolf. Yeah.
and Lacey Chabert. But there's
That's crazy.
I'm gonna assume I'm older, because how do you not know Party of Five if you're my age? It was
I knew Party of Five, but I didn't really watch it. It was a funny story actually. When I went to see Scott Wolf, I asked him to sign my Double Dragon DVD, and the girl that was working with him, she's like, "Oh, how about something Party of Five?" I'm like, "Double Dragon signed."
Nice.
It's like right here. It's signed right here.
That's so crazy, man. That's what I know him from. Like, I mean, Party of, which, I'm sure tonight, tomorrow, I'll watch Party of Five and say, okay, I'm going to watch the whole thing. But like, seriously, like Nev for me was, I'm pretty sure it was 1997 for Scream. That was the only thing I had seen that, like, her introduction for me. So like to hear this Party of Five, I was like, I have never heard of this before.
It was on for 7 years on network TV in prime time. Like how? What?
Network TV. That doesn't even ring a bell.
So is it like a Dawson's Creek thing? No.
It was different. Definitely different than Dawson's.
Because I fell in love with Dawson's Creek recently, like in the last 3
recently,
months.
like Dawson's
Like,
Creek
I
is
just-
also
my-
defining.
Girl, first time through. Hey, girl, first time through, and I'm loving every second of it. I'm being
Right?
serious.
So Party of Five is the premise is the parents have passed away in a car accident, and there's an older brother who's an adult who is Matthew Fox, and then there's 4 other kids. And they want to stay together. So he's got to keep them together. He's only like 21, and he has to keep all these kids together in this house. And like they own a restaurant and stuff. And it's like all the drama, and it's really good. But it was on for like 7 years. How do you?
What year did it start?
94.
Oh, that's my era, though. Oh, that's my era. How do I not know?
I was barely born.
Yeah,
I
I
was,
was like,
I was
Just
alive
saying.
and kicking, boys. I was alive and kicking.
I was
I was-
barely born.
I was 8 or 9 watching it with my mom at 8
Wow.
p.m. Like, and then I rewatched it just a couple years ago, and it's so good. It's really good. And then their panel was just really good because
Okay.
Lacey Chabert, who is older than me, but
Yeah.
the youngest, she was 11 when they cast the show, and them telling the stories about her being a young girl and like growing up on the show. It was
That's what
really
this is all about. That's what this show's all about.
Wow.
So my internet's up and working, so I got to get my question in. Did anybody hang out with any Boy Meets World cast besides Lawrence? I mean, they were there, yes?
I didn't hang out. I met Ryder Strong.
Well,
and
I mean, we're talking like you went 8 times through Nick Carter's thing. I mean, nobody thought about, hey, maybe Frick wants you to go through once, you know? Not one time he even thought about it. I love those guys, man.
I
Sean
went-
Hunter?
I went and saw Ryder Strong. He was the first one I met, and then
Nice.
I lost my ever loving mind because I'd never been to a con. I'd never and of course Sean. Like,
I know the hair flip. I know. Keep going.
Right?
I know.
And then I
Oh,
went
hey.
and met Will the next day and Matthew Lawrence the next day.
Oh.
And that was my Boy Meets World trifecta. Then my husband wanted me to get a picture with Topanga for him. So I went and did that. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Just for him. He said he'd pay me, but he hasn't paid me back yet.
That's okay.
I'm sure he'll buy you a meal.
He told
Yeah,
me that
their lines were long, like every day.
Come on.
they were. Actually, when I went up for Will, it wasn't long at all. Like I was the first.
Oh, really?
Were they
She was
nice?
lucky.
Yeah, super. Ryder Strong kind of just hi and picture.
Aw.
And the same with Matthew Lawrence. I don't know about anybody else, but I couldn't say words, so I think he was just like, hi, thanks for coming. But Will, one of the best stories. Will stands there and puts his hand out and says, "Hi, I'm Will," and he's like looking at me, waiting for me to say my name, and I'm like, "Oh, Stephanie," and he shakes my hand. Then you come around and take a picture, and he says, "May I put my arm around you?" It's like,
Oh,
Come on.
what a gentleman.
nobody
True
else said
scholar.
that. And it was like, yeah, both, please.
Yeah,
Now.
yeah. Oh,
Wow.
he didn't do plays with squirrels. He didn't pull a sucker from his beard. No, okay. That would be a perfect world. That's fine. He's at least
They
he's a
were
gentleman.
amazing. The boy meet. I didn't meet Trina, but the rest of them, they were
that's okay.
awesome, and the panel was good too.
I bet so.
What about Family Matters, guys? Like, did anybody meet anyone from Family Matters? Please don't say no.
I can tell you I stayed in like the same area all weekend.
Did you see
That
any of
counts.
them?
That counts.
Were they friendly?
Did they have a booth? I've never seen them like have booths like in pictures. So they were just for photo ops.
They had booths.
Oh, they did?
Hmm
Yeah.
I never even saw them though. I never even put eyes on them.
Listen,
Wow.
listen, ladies.
Yeah,
The
I was
reason
stuck
we
in
asked,
the other line so much.
I
the
was
reason,
I was in the Boy Meets World MMC aisle the whole time.
I just like I don't want to hear stories that like no they weren't cool. You know what I mean? Like that's I hear a lot of those and it crushes my soul. You know,
But if that was your experience, please share.
No one I met was not cool.
Yeah.
There were people I met that weren't very talkative, but also I was a mess.
I bet I would be too.
What's everyone when it comes down to like the goal of the convention? What was everybody's kind of like? Okay, this is the person I have to meet. Like
This
of
one.
all people. Oh, is that AJ and Nick?
Yeah, my favorite. Like, I literally have been waiting to meet any
He's wearing my
Backstreet
jacket,
Boys since
by
like
the way.
5th grade. Like,
Come
Just-
on.
it was crazy. Like, you don't get to talk to them obviously in this picture, but I mean, I did have
Yeah.
some conversations with them throughout like the rest of the con, and then like I met AJ at the restaurant that they were staying at, like at the hotel after, and it's just crazy. Like, that was the whole thing that I've been waiting for since 5th grade. So it was finally can check that off my bucket list.
Yes, that was me.
That's
with
incredible.
I already said, but Fatone, and that was 24
Yeah.
years in the making. Like,
Yeah, I
20
remember talking to you before the con, and you were like, "I'm going just for Tone. Like it's gonna,
That's
as
it.
long as he's there on Sunday, no, like Friday, he wasn't gonna be there, and then Saturday, but like, okay, one day, Joey Fatone, just Joey
It was-
Fatone."
It's a funny story, but he originally said he was going. I knew from a source that he was going to be there Friday, not Saturday, before the
Yep.
con announced that he wasn't going to be there Saturday. So I switched my photo op and decided to switch my plans, take off work earlier, get there on Friday because I knew that was going to be my chance. And then we got there Friday, and they're like, "He's not here. He's not coming." So
What a
is he
dagger
going
in
to
the
come
heart.
Sunday? Is he going to come at all? And then we show up Sunday finally, and he's late.
Yes,
we
we've
go-
heard from numerous
We
sources.
went to get in his photo op line at 11:30, and they're like, "He's not coming. Come back at 1:30." So it's like, is he going to come for 3 hours? And that he did. He did.
I was very surprised, yeah, when they said that he was there.
And you could hear the cheers. Like, we were over talking to Tony
Oh,
Lucas, but
come
you could
on.
hear the cheers in the place when he showed up in his booth. And then we were like, so of course that was my goal, because
Yeah.
like I said, he's my favorite of all times, and I had to meet him, and he was genuinely lovely and kind and genuine and sweet and a really good hugger.
That's a plus. You know,
Right.
everybody likes a good hug.
So, Cindy,
Yes.
you've had the privilege of doing like meet and greets on tour, and then you've done these, right? So,
Yes.
can you talk about like the different vibe? Okay, obviously we know the meet and greets on tour is like, hey, bang bang, but what do you prefer, I guess? And then what are the advantages and disadvantages of both?
I mean, I guess it would depend if your favorite is at the con or not.
Let's pretend they are.
Okay.
Every
So
single person.
Yeah.
in that instance, I would say that I would probably prefer the con more. Like the VIP and like tour is really nice because you get like a professional photo with all of them. It's, during the tour season, it's in Vegas, it's glitzy, you get a lounge and whatever else. But if you actually like want to have a conversation with them, I would say definitely go to a con. You actually get the time at the table to sit there and chat with them, just like we are right now. You can talk about anything. My friends and I talked to Nick about all kinds of assortments of things, and there was nobody there tapping you on the shoulder being like, hey, you gotta go. He just
Yes.
took his time and just kind of let it naturally take its course, and then, take your photos and whatnot, and then he moved on to the next people. But it definitely was not rushed or anything like that. So I definitely prefer that. If your favorite is at a con, I would say do the cons, do the table.
Yeah. Shout out Stephen Amell if you're watching, friend of the show. This is what I expect you to be like when I meet you at a con. All right, Caleb, go on. Your turn. Sorry.
Yeah, it's I definitely absolutely agree with Cindy. I've been to probably 50 cons. I don't know. I need to make a list, but I've been to 50 cons in the last about 6-7 years. And I was starting to make a list earlier, just thinking about everything I've gone to. But like, I've done meet and greets at concerts, not for Backstreet Boys, but like for different other people. And I don't know, just being at a con and going to the table and knowing that like, my time is theirs and for this moment, for however long it lasts. And it's just cool because like Cindy said, like you can just talk about whatever, and they listen, they talk back, and it's just, I find it's more genuine, especially not being tapped on the shoulder because, man, that irks. Oh, Cindy, if I ever go do Backstreet Boys and someone taps me on the shoulder and says, go, I'm like, I'm talking, like there's no way. But like, yeah. And also I like it because it is a lot cheaper. It's really more affordable. And I told the girls this beforehand, but even if you don't want to spend the money, you can go in line and you can go up to Nick and go up to these different people and have a conversation with them completely free. And the reason why that is these people, these artists, these singers, these actors, they're getting paid so much money that it's okay if there's a few people throughout the entire day who go up and have a conversation with them. They can care less. In fact, I've heard a couple people say like, AJ had gave autographs for free to a little girl and things like that. Like it's just really, really genuine. I'm really jealous. I'll say this as well. I'm really jealous that, you guys got to go to 90s Con and live out the fantasy of being back in the 90s because I've never been to a con that's, I don't know, just like so fitting for us.
I'll tell you, Tuesday Stephanie is jealous of Weekend Stephanie.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely understand that.
Like,
I mean,
teacher Stephanie, mom Stephanie is totally jealous of 90s.
I mean, you got to live out your fantasy in just, say 72 hours, less than 72 hours. You guys were seeing everybody on TV that you remember, including Nev. So, but like, just the idea of seeing, everybody being in one room together, and they actually all showed up. That's the crazy part. Reginald and, the whole Family Matters crew, hashtag where's Jalil. But, everybody showed up, and you had the opportunity to meet these individuals who, when Family Matters was on TV, I was a child. I was a very young kid. But I watched it nonstop, Saved by the Bell, all these different shows. I watched nonstop every single day and night. And it's just cool to know people who got to live out my dream.
What would you guys, let's go down the line here before anything starts winding down or we get off topic, but we'll start with Leah, then go SJ, then Stephanie. What, besides picking a different day for your favorite artist and besides them showing up on a different day, what would you change about 90s Con? What would you have improved? What could you make different? Leah, go first.
Well, the lines were just, I don't know, honestly. I don't know if the lines, like, it was my first con, so I'm not sure if, like, that's normal or not. I would have probably had a few more, like, boy bands. I don't know. LFO. We need LFO there next year.
Yes, we do.
O-Town. Like, I know O-Town's more like 2000s, but like there was crossover. Like if you're a fan of the 90s, you're kind of like a fan of the 2000s. So
that's right.
I would say just more like boy bands. Hanson. I don't know. I would have added more of that because there was a lot of TV shows. Just a lot of waiting in line, and like the food situation was just insane. Like I said, I didn't eat from 6 to 5 p.m. because you had to choose, do you want food or do you want to stand in line? So
man,
besides that, like it was good. A lot of walking on my feet, and it was good though. In the end, like by the end of the day, it was just kind of overwhelming. Like how many people did I really meet that I have been waiting to meet for so long? So they really did pull it off with, their photo ops went by so quickly. Like I know that you said that you don't get a chance to talk to them, which was
point and shoot.
It was a good thing in the end, just because if you stood at their table, you could talk to them, but then like you really did get through there quickly. You got your photo and you could be on to the next thing.
And you guys all look great in your photos, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. SJ, what about you? What would you change? What would you improve?
I think that would be better if they had more vendors. There wasn't that many places with good merchandise there. Like the only good vendors they had there was like the 90s con clothing, like as what Leah's wearing there, like that. And then also I was more excited for like the Ava Dean booth. Like that was my highlight of the booths there. It's like, oh my God, Ava Dean's here. And I would have loved it if maybe they included some people from Saved by the Bell or 90210 kind of thing.
Yeah,
like that'd be pretty awesome. Who knows? They're doing it next year. Maybe next year they will. You never know.
That the thing about the 90s con for this year, it was nothing but success. And and SJ. So SJ's been to a couple cons as well, so she knows how it works. But like, when something like this, especially the exposure after the show's all finished, the exposure, it's on every single news network. Next year is going to be massive. And it all depends on the artist or the actor's availability. But I do agree. Zach Morris, Slater, that would have been really, really nice. Which, by the way, I was supposed to meet them at a con, and they both canceled the day of. But one day, right?
The day of. That's a tough cancellation.
And also, they should probably advertise a bit more too, because there was a lot of people like on my There was a lot of people on my TikTok that didn't even know 90s Con existed.
That's what we're for.
So they need to advertise more too for next time.
I mean, and also,
and they didn't know that, obviously.
And I mean, as much as they were crowded, even seek out a bigger venue.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of room for vendors, but I guess, the capacity wise, they were at capacity most days, for all the passes sold. But it shows in the pictures that we've seen. It's a bit full.
Yeah.
So the Friday night was kind of empty. And,
Yes, that's
And
normal for a con, by the way.
right. And I kind of
Yeah.
figured that.
Mhm.
So seeing the amount of people there Saturday
Huh.
was like, this is my first con. I've never been.
Yeah.
I've never done it before. However, it was still the food line. Literally, was the longest line that I waited in the whole time. And I don't know about the general admission for meet and greets and whatever, but the food line I waited in twice for over an hour. Like,
You must have been hungry.
well, no, I wanted a beer.
Oh, I got
And then in
Need that to
Connecticut,
get through it.
in Connecticut, they only give you one. They won't even give you two. They give you one. So it was like you wait in line an hour.
You guys are all shaking your head with this experience too.
There was a bar upstairs.
There was, but I even
Yeah.
tried to wait in that line, and it was like 20 minutes in. I was like, forget
Oh.
it.
And you can still only get one.
You
Yeah.
could still only get one.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not waiting in line
Wow.
for a beer I'm going to drink in 15 minutes. Or an hour.
Right.
Like, I can run down the street, go to the bar, and buy two.
Listen, I walked in with a full, like, we were drinking in the hotel room while we were getting ready, and I cracked open a Bud Light seltzer to bring with me to, like, drink, because I didn't know how long, like, the lines could have been to get in, or how long it was going to take us to walk down there. So I'm like, I'm going to start drinking it while we're going down there. The security didn't even, like, care.
No.
I, like, went through security with it. I went upstairs. They scanned my badge. I walked into the con with it.
With it.
Yeah, with it.
Wow.
Like a full can of seltzer that I'm drinking. We went up to Nick's tables. He's like, "What are you drinking?" And he's like turning the can around, and I'm like, "I snuck this in."
But did you really sneak it? They just let you have it. Like,
They just
I don't know.
they weren't really paying much attention.
I drink like basic beer, and I would literally have two while I'm getting ready to come over, and then pour one in a cup while I'm walking over. But then, because I had to calm my
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
I'm going to meet Joey Fatone and stuff. Like, I had to calm myself. But anyway, I've never been to a con before, and I will say that I talked to a couple people who said this was really well run. Like,
Yeah.
the lines to meet people were long, but not
Yeah.
as long as they could have been.
Yeah.
And then the problems my friends and I had, and most of us haven't been to many cons, was having the VIP, trying to get into a panel. You're supposed to get in first.
That's right.
Before they let you get to your seats, the general admission people are rushing.
It's like me at BSB. Me at
Stampede.
BSB.
And so it's like they had a VIP section and they let the VIP in, but I was with people who walk slower or, weren't running like I was. And then they get to their seats. There's general admission people who've followed in because they've let them in already. So it was the same with the after party. I don't know. I mean, I know Leah was at the after party, but Leah was right behind me at the after party.
I know.
My ass was front row. but they like the general admission people started like rushing around the stage, and we didn't know we could get up and like go to the stage, or we would have, because we were there to see Tony Luca, and we would have gone to the stage. But all these general admission people kind of followed in, and then the people who wanted to sit couldn't even see anymore. So that's a thing that I would change, is if you're going to do the after party, like, let's make it like, I don't want to like name drop or throw him under the bus, but Tony Luca was like, it's going to be a party. Like, you're going to be standing and there's going to be some seating around, but you're going to be standing and it's going to be a party. It was totally like a seated thing. But then once actually the party came on, people like rushed the stage. And so those of us who were sitting in the chairs, like we thought we were supposed to do, like kind of stuck behind. I mean, we were standing up too, but it was like they all got in front of us, and it was general admission people and whatever. But also, I know Leah, I don't remember when you left the after party, but we were going to take a picture together, and I was at least planning to. And then the next thing I knew, I come back from getting a beer, and she was gone.
Yeah,
But
no.
the bartender said the bar is only open till 10. And we were like, okay, cool. but then they were rushing us out at 9:45.
Hmm.
And I feel like the people even performing, and I'm throwing out Tony Luca again, like they even thought it was going to go longer than that and be more of a like DJ kind of dancing thing, and it didn't turn into that. So 9:45, they all leave the stage, and then the staff is like, "You guys got to go. You got to get out. You have to leave." I had just got up here, like at 9:50.
We probably left at like 9:30. So me and my friend left. She had stayed at the hotel where she said she saw AJ and like the Lawrence brothers the night before. So I'm like, yeah, let's just go back there, you know. So we went back there, and then I know you had said it was done, and it was just crazy. Like people just wanted a dance floor to like have some 90s music and dance to, and like that's what I know they had like the DJ who had great music in 90s come, but there was no time for us to like go out on the dance floor because we were in lines. So like that's great that they had music while we were there, and it was playing, and I'm thankful for that because like it helped me when I was in the line. Like it was good music, but for the after party, like it was funny. Like there were some great parts of it, and I really liked the Mickey Mouse Club. Like it wasn't something that I necessarily watched as a child, but it was funny. It was great. But then they need to open up like a dance floor with a DJ. I think that's just like the whole consensus of like what everybody wanted. Like we all just wanted to dance to some fun 90s music.
I think that's what everybody kind of expected, even maybe the people.
Me too. I mean, I didn't know anything about it.
It was Mickey Mouse Club, which is a thing that us older people understand.
I know what the Mickey Mouse Club is.
Whoa, with the olders.
Mickey Mouse Club. I'm familiar with that too.
I know, but I know like
Goofy, Donald, Minnie.
No.
Oh, sorry, that's the
Tony.
Dating myself.
And then like you have the Christina and Brittany and Justin and Ryan of it all. They were younger class, right? So the older class of Mickey Mouse Club was who was there. And a lot of people who were there didn't have a clue who these people were. But then the Mickey Mouse Club fans showed up. Like we were there.
The crazy ones.
But it was, and you know, the party, they came from the Mickey Mouse Club and they performed on the stage at the after party. But then after them, they all just like left, and we thought there was going to be more 90s music and like dancing and hanging out.
Some boy
and then
bands.
they ended up at the hotel. Like the whole Mickey Mouse Club was at the hotel, like in the bar. And then we had like Carolyn Ray, and like we had the Hocus Pocus crew next door to me. So I talked to the Hocus Pocus crew, which was great.
That's
like
crazy, man.
It was so much fun. Like they were just such a blast, like to talk to afterwards. But I think more people, like even necessarily like maybe some of the celebrities might have stayed to, you know, come hang out on the dance floor, you know, talk to people more. Cause I think that's just what people wanted. Like when you think of the 90s, you think of dancing and like the fun songs and stuff. Like, so I think that's like the only thing, if I could pick one thing for them to add for next year, is like that dance floor.
Yeah. And they said there would be, or at some point, somebody told me there would be a dance floor. And
Breaking
basically,
news.
It was just the same chairs that were there for all the panels with the open space between the stage and the chairs. So that's where everybody was kind of gathering. And they were really just gathering to be up front to watch the party instead of dancing. But it was really fun. And what Mickey Mouse Club did and each of them individually did was awesome. It's not them.
Yeah.
And it was whatever. I don't know. I didn't know that's what they were planning. But when all of a sudden the staff comes out, they're like, you got to go. You got to leave. We're like, the bar said they were open till 10. It's 9:45. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's how Shaggy was at Sweet Stock. Everybody move. I'm like, okay.
Let's go, man.
I'm going to Sonic. All right, Cindy, what would you change? What would you change? What would you improve?
I would say like they were a little disorganized with like the photo op lines. They were running behind like every single day with them. So we would like everyone was just crowding. They had like a TV there where they had like who you're for and what line you should be in, and everybody was just standing in front of it. Nobody was there to tell these people to move so that people could get into their lines. And then once you got in, you stood in whatever line that you were waiting for.
This big.
Yeah, like 2 feet wide. And the first day, Friday was okay. But then like Saturday and Sunday, they were like, we're running behind. So no handshakes, no hugs, no kissing, take your photo and go. And I'm not kidding you. Friday was okay. And then Saturday and Sunday, because they were behind, the photo ops were like 4 seconds. I did ones that were like individual, which is me, and I did ones with some of my friends, and even the group ones, it was still like, you had to go in there and be like, we want to do this, boom, and take it. And I didn't price for what the photo ops cost, and I understand like you're getting multiple people, or, you know, it's a professional photo and they're printing it right there for you. Mm-hmm. But for the price that it was, I don't feel like it's not fair to the fans who paid $100 plus for some of these photo ops to be rushed through and can't even get like hi out of their mouth because you're running behind, because you didn't maybe have enough volunteers, or you were a little disorganized. I mean, granted, it was their first con, so I'll give them that, but I just thought that was a little crappy to kind of rush people through. Maybe that was their only time meeting these people. Maybe they didn't go to the tables, you know, I don't know, but I didn't care for that. I thought it was really rushed for the price that you paid.
Yeah, man.
Oh, and when we first checked in the first day, so the first day that you came there, you had to go through like the check-in process where they would check like your COVID credentials and your IDs and stuff like that. The line, they told us that there were supposed to be 2 separate lines, one for VIP, one for GA, and there wasn't. There was one long, huge line that went through the queue, out the door, and around the corner of the building. We stood in line probably well over an hour or more just to check in. And they had nobody outside, like, telling anybody what was going on. There was no signs. There was no nothing. It was just a line, and everyone was like, well, I guess we get in it. So it was a little disorganized there. So I don't know if it was just, on Friday. I don't know if it was just like ill prepared for the amount of people that were coming, but you know, you had to assume that it was going to be a big rush kind of at opening night, considering it was only open for like 4 hours, and they had these photo ops that were starting at like 5 o'clock, and the con opened at like 4, and then you got this massive line of people trying to check in. So that could have been a little bit better too.
They say it opens at 4, so people are going to get there at 4.
And then stand in line.
I knew at 4, I had already been inside the con, because we went at like 3 and still had to wait in a really long line, and we had VIP, but my friend had her badge never came. You know, it was supposed to come. What did they? I don't remember what they said, but it should have came. But she went to her parents' house and then was traveling there, so she never got it. So she had to go to will call. Luckily, I mean, they gave it to her and everything, but we had to go to will call for her. So we went to the doors at 3, and the line was out the door then.
Wow.
And we get through to get the COVID check, and then we still have to go up. She still has to wait in line to get through will call. We go through the will call. She gets her badge. We all go inside. Of course, the vendors are open. We got to take our pictures on the orange couch and with the 90 lights and everything. Before it was really dead at that point. Actually, the first song that was playing when I walked in there was Summer Girls.
There you go.
I heard that at least twice.
I was wearing my LFO hoodie all weekend. But then I went back outside, and the line to get through that COVID line was insane. And it was only 3:45, and the line was insane. And of course, if you'd already checked in and you had the little sticker saying you had your COVID check, you could just walk right in this one door and get your bag checked and go back inside.
5 seconds,
And that was, but for the rest of the weekend, if you had that weekend badge, you could just walk in that one door. The little guy would let you in if it wasn't unlocked, and then you'd go through the bag check. They'd check your bag and say like, "Oh, you got nothing in there with that. Go ahead." It's fine. But if you had to do that COVID check, that first night was insane. It was, I mean, it was 5 o'clock, and there were still people standing in that line. And I know there were follow-ups happening at 4:20, 4:30 on Friday. So I'm sure people missed.
Oh, and the other thing too, like we had VIP, like you had, they were cutting people's like table lines early, like Saturday the con was open till 6, and my friend wanted to go over and get a picture with Candace from Full House, and it was like 5:10, and there was like nobody in her VIP line, and the volunteer that was working her area said, "Oh no, she's done for the day. She has a long line in GA at 6 o'clock. She's done. She's not going to be able to get through all of them." And my friend's like, "Well, what's the point of paying for the VIP pass then? Like, we paid a lot more for that privilege, and you're cutting it off to everyone for preference over GA."
Yeah.
So that happened a couple times. I think it happened in AJ's line too. They cut it off early the one night because of how long the GA line was. So I didn't really care for that. I mean, if there's nobody in the VIP line and you have a VIP pass, I mean, that's the whole point, is like kind of having like a fast pass. So the fact that they were cutting them like almost an hour early for some people based on how long the GA line was, like, I didn't like that either. Yeah. So they could probably work on that a little bit.
That happened with Melissa Joan Hart too.
Really?
Come on.
Yeah, that was well, and there were also some people. I was there.
When I got to Melissa Joan Hart's line, it was like 2 o'clock.
That's terrible, man.
On Saturday.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, it was on
Yep.
Saturday. Just as I got there. Mm-hmm.
So we covered like who you guys wanted to see, but like who is the most surprising to you, like that you were the most excited that you didn't know that you'd be excited to meet? Like for me, it was like the Hocus Pocus crew. Like I literally grew up with the Hocus Pocus. Like every Halloween, like even my children now, like they watch Hocus Pocus, and I was just like,
wow.
I don't know, like I went for Backstreet Boy or like AJ and Nick, but like I got there, like then it was like, oh, Omri and Jason were just so sweet. Like it was just, I don't know, it was a nice surprise to have, like, I don't know.
Jason,
I just want to know what you guys think.
Jason Marsden was my favorite. He was the second one I met after Ryder Strong, and he's so short, and I didn't expect it. But I'm walking up, and I'm nervous, and I'm a mess because I just met Ryder Strong. I went and talked to Tony Luca, who's my boy, and like, but Tony Luca got to feel my heart beating out of my chest. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But then we're walking, and Jason Marsden's standing there by himself. Nobody's in his line. So my friend and I are like,
I do the same thing.
And I'm like, I let's take a picture. He's like, no, here's what you do. And he's looking up at me, and I'm not tall. And he's like, you make awkward eye contact. He's like staring at me, and I'm like, so I finally go like this, like raise my eyebrow at him, and he goes, "Okay, you got it now. Let's take a picture." And he was so cute, and I had a beer, and he was like, "They got beer here?" He was amazing. He was so sweet, and
wow.
And then also Scott Wolf, who I did plan to meet. Scott Wolf from, I would say from Party of Five, but nobody knows.
No idea.
Bailey from Party of Five. And
Double Dragon. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, Double Dragon, yeah. Definitely.
And there was no line for him. I just walked up, and when we walked up, one of my friends like squealed, and he waved at us. There was a little girl lined up to meet him before me. Or she wasn't really lined up. They kind of snuck her in. I think she was maybe with her mom, and she didn't, I don't know. But she goes in there and takes a picture with him, and then he looks at me and he's like, "Tough act to follow," and I'm like, "I'm going home." What to do? He was like, "Get in here!" And then, oh my gosh, has the man aged? And if he's aged, like he looks better than he did when he was.
He looks like Michael J. Fox. He's 53. Yeah. He looks like Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Like
or
a young
Tom
Michael
Cruise.
J. Fox.
He looks like Tom Cruise.
Well,
Tom Cruise is kind of aged in the last 6 months, so we don't want to go there.
Well, when he was younger, he had like the Tom Cruise vibe.
Yeah.
And people were hiring him because of that. But it was like
good trade.
I wanted to meet him, but I didn't put it on my list as a must happen. And so when it happened, he was very, very sweet. And he was another one who said, "Hi, I'm Scott. What's your name?" Where like Ryder Strong didn't ask my name. Joey didn't ask my name.
Don't say that.
So
Yeah,
it was-
Ryder was nice, but he just kind of looked like exhausted. Like by the time I got there on Saturday.
well, on Friday
Oh,
when it was like
man.
5:05, he was exhausted.
He's a poet. He's tired, man. His brain's going. You know, he's a poet. Give him some
But he
slack.
was not, nobody was meaner.
Good.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I won't say words about Joey Lawrence. I'll let you guys talk about Joey Lawrence, but
He was
Ooh,
my first
your first love.
love.
Oh,
Hey,
oh,
get that closer. Let me see. Get that a little bit closer. Can I see that? He's dreamy. Gosh,
Wow.
dang, he's
Look at his
dreamy.
arm. I mean, look at that
What a hunk.
arm.
What a hunk.
did you notice his arm in everybody's picture?
my
Everybody's
This
picture.
get better
He's
looking.
not putting his arm around you. He's putting his arm here, so you
It's an
can see
embrace.
it.
So you can
It's not
see,
a hug.
like,
It's
yeah.
an embrace. That is one
I
become
do that sometimes in my photos.
I will say,
much better
You
looking.
see, I didn't care for Joey Lawrence. I went mostly for Matthew.
me too. I was gonna say, I will
Ooh.
still say after this weekend, especially Matthew is the superior Lawrence.
I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed all my Lawrence brothers
I
this
originally
weekend.
went for
I've
AJ.
always thought Matthew was the better.
And well,
I mean, even Andy.
Let me look here.
Andy had the Frenchie though. He had his little Frenchie with him.
He
the whole-
was so sweet though. Like he hardly had any line, and I didn't like how I looked in my picture with him. So like I went back like 20 minutes later. I'm like, sorry, can I retake this? I don't like this. He's like, oh yeah, of course. Like I want you to like it. So
Oh,
he
that's
let me
amazing.
retake it.
See,
And
and
I
you were
felt
right.
like crappy.
You
but
were
that's-
right across from Tony, and you didn't get a picture with Tony.
I know.
Didn't even go see Tony.
I told you. I would. Well, I didn't tell you, but I would have taken you over there.
Next time.
That's
Huh.
right.
I spent a lot of time just at Tony Lucas.
Next year. Next year.
Next year.
That's right.
I'm going back. Matthew Lawrence is my favorite. Okay. And my vote's in. My vote is casted. Hey,
Matthew Lawrence, superior Lawrence.
Cindy, who surprised you the most?
Nick.
Yeah, I
Oh,
I didn't really-
1,000 times.
I didn't really meet anyone else. Like, I
Really?
blew my budget for like Nick and AJ and the boy band ops.
You're the best.
I really only went and met the boy band. Like, I only really went to Nick and AJ. I said hi to Joey, and I did like the boy band ops.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, just meeting everybody from, you know, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, I'd say, like, people that you've seen online that you've only talked to, you know, on the internet. I say that was pretty cool. Like, seeing all
Wow.
the faces and people from all across the country in one place, like, that you would never run into. Like, thought that was pretty cool.
That is definitely one of the best aspects because like even like not just the Backstreet Boy fandom, but the fandom of like the 90s and in boy bands especially, like it's like we all know each other, you know, especially on these different groups that we're a part of, you know, and to actually be in the same place, you know, as everyone else or a good majority bit of them. That's actually kind of really cool. It's happened to me a few times now with the show where I've been to like conventions and stuff, and there was some freaking frackers there, and it is like the greatest. Like celebrities are cool, like you know Nick, AJ, they're great, but man, for me, like when I'm able to meet other people who know about the show or who watch the show, it is like incredible.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys kind of got back to normal. Like all your stories, you know, they're amazing, they're great. But at the end of the day, like what I hear, what I heard, what I understand from you guys is, it was almost like a kickoff to some normal life, a little bit, you know. And I love that for you
Yep.
guys, man. That's amazing.
It was, and I stood back a couple times. Like, I live in West Virginia. Can you take some connotation from that?
And
Like,
Leah definitely lives in Minnesota, and I have no idea where Leah lives, but I'm guessing Minnesota. Tell me I'm right.
Wisconsin, you're close.
Go on.
That
Sorry,
was
Steve.
really
Go on.
close.
Go on.
like the mask thing, like people here kind of, you know, I wear a mask. I'm a teacher. I work in Maryland. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but going to this thing in Connecticut where you didn't have to wear a mask and I didn't feel scared, and the celebrities were not wearing masks.
Yeah.
Well, you waited
Except
5 hours in line to
TLC.
get tested.
I mean, but no, I mean, I have my vaccines and I'm boosted and whatever,
There
but
you go. Good to go.
like they
Good.
did, I mean, TLC wore a mask, I think, and then for one day, I heard, and then the next day they took them off, which we don't judge. I'm a teacher. Like, we are not judging. Wear a mask one day, don't the next, whatever. But
there was actually people complaining about TLC using the plastic coverings and like the shields or whatever.
Plexiglass and everything.
The plexiglass, yeah. But a lot of people don't realize that T-Boz is really sick. So I understand why she would have it, but
like, you don't get
didn't
to
make
judge.
any sense.
I just don't think you get to judge how people feel right now. This is a weird time. Like,
exactly.
You don't get to judge how someone feels about it. Anyway, I was super happy. I told you guys you're gonna have to cut me off, but Tony Luca, like in January, Tony Luca did a show where he didn't even say hi to us or anything. He wore a mask. He came on the stage, did a show, left, and I drove all the way to Michigan for it, and that was so depressing.
That's tough.
And then in February, he did more shows, and it was okay. But this time, no mask, like just hanging out, just talking, and like just getting to see people's real faces and like not being scared was so just. Even in Connecticut, even if I have to drive,
my mom's very nice.
And
it was nice
$250 in gas. Like, it was totally.
I got so happy I put the white glove on. I got my 90s out, a little bit of MJ going. Not that MJ, the other MJ. I got excited. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. SJ, I have who surprised you the most?
Well, like I said, Matthew Lawrence, because I was like super excited to see him. Like, I went to AJ for AJ originally, like just AJ.
I know.
But anyway, so, yeah. So I went to him first. I got in late. I got in like around 4:30. So I didn't get to the con till like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I got lucky enough to get AJ like within the hour. So that was pretty good. And then as soon as I was done that, I didn't know where the Lawrence brothers were. I had to ask someone where they were. Like, oh, they're on the other side. I'm like, oh, there's more on the other side? I'm like, oh. So then I just went around, and then they were just packing up, and Matthew Lawrence was getting ready to go. I'm like, wait. I'm like, I just want a picture.
Oh, so man.
So I got his picture, and I just told him I loved him in Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, and he's like, wow, you go far that back? I'm like, I do. You had no idea.
Man.
When she said she was there for AJ, the first thought that popped in my head.
Right there, man.
My first thought that popped in my head was, SJ, we are friends on Twitter, or I'm sorry, on TikTok. I know you were there for AJ. The entire world knew you were there for AJ. I saw your videos. They got a lot of clicks.
She made it very clear numerous times to me personally, so I knew too.
For me, it's AJ. For Cindy, it's Nick.
Yeah.
And then for me, it was Fatone. But Leah, who did you say you were there for?
Oh, definitely AJ and Nick.
Okay.
See, she chooses both.
So I would have loved the whole like Backstreet Boys crew. Like that's what I would have liked.
I love Backstreet Boys. I have no problems with Backstreet Boys, but I'm a total NSYNC. However, SJ, was it you who was waving and yelling my name?
Probably.
Somebody was like in AJ.
I didn't see anybody.
Okay. Wait,
I didn't see
SJ,
anybody.
Are you sure? Because wasn't it you who told me somebody was waving who like knew me? Somebody in here told me that.
Somebody,
but I didn't know who.
It could have been
you
anywhere.
two. We figured it out. It was you two.
We're putting you guys together.
No, I wasn't sure.
I'm like hoofing it to get somewhere. I don't remember where I was getting for a panel or something. And a lady with dark hair is in Nick or AJ's line. It's like, Stephanie! And I was like, hi, I don't know who you are. But awesome. To be fair, like I was supposed to meet up with a bunch of O-Town fans and LFO fans and other people who I only know from their Facebook profile picture. And I don't know who it was.
They're fun. Those fans.
Maybe it was. Who knows?
We'll give an update when we find out.
Somebody's gonna eventually fess up to this, and I'm gonna fess up to the fact that I didn't know who they were.
They're gonna watch this, and then they're gonna let us know, hey, it was me.
By the way, Stephanie, welcome to the con club, because like once you go to one con, you're gonna want to keep going.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm done for. And every
You
time
got
I'd
bit
walk
by the con bug.
I'd walk around alone and get kind of nervous that I was alone, and the next thing I know, I'd hear Stephanie, and somebody would run up and hug me, and I'd be like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were gonna be here. I don't."
It's a marvelous thing. We didn't know. You know, we had asked previously who's going to be there, and we had a few people reach out and say we're going to be there. But then Sunday night or Monday morning, we saw about like 50 different frickin' frackers there. Like, just start posting their pictures, and we're like, what an event. You know, like this is, you know, just the idea of like all these frickin' frackers are in the same room and probably never spoke to each other. It's
I
crazy.
met Leah, but that's it. And
Finally
to
at
tell
the
you-
end.
to tell you the truth, when she first messaged me, you messaged me on Instagram, and I was like, guys, I don't really know who this is. It took me like a minute to like make the connection, because I have a whole bunch of O-Town friends and a whole bunch of LFO friends, and I was like, where is she from? Where is she? I'm trying to
group are
piece it
you
together,
in?
and then I pieced it together, but I didn't really know what you looked like, and then I saw you at the after party, and I was like, I know, I get it now.
And you had the LFO shirt on, so I'm like, I know, clearly, I know who this is. Like, my people.
Easy target. Easy to
Right.
spot.
I wore my LFO hoodie the whole time, and I wore LFO. Well, Saturday I just had the LFO hoodie, but Sunday I wore my LFO like T-shirt too.
It's dedication. It's dedication there.
Them's my boys.
Leah, are you a Wisconsin Badgers fan?
I am, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna leave on that note, and I love everybody that did. Just kidding. I'm all beloved from Nebraska.
Hey,
You
but
guys
I
have-
lived in Omaha for a few years. So.
There you go. There you go. There we
I
go.
mean,
So
Lisa, what
I
about-
attended a few Husker games.
Hey, it's a different Okay, you don't have to like football to like a Husker game. Am I correct in saying
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
at least you're not
crazy,
from
man.
Iowa. Thank you for not being from Iowa. Guys, this has been great. We love you guys to death. We already went over an hour. Crazy. It's the fastest hour in podcasting. I know for a fact Caleb will be there next year, 100%. And
Yeah.
if I know when the date is, I'll block it out now. You know, just like we did
Yeah.
Sweet Stock. 7
We're
months.
waiting
in
on the
advance.
date. We're waiting. I
7 months
messaged the
in
people
advance.
today, so hopefully they'll give us a go on some things, and we can kind of get the ball rolling and get everything settled. And we will. I mean, it's definitely an event. You know, I do regret missing. I really do, and for so many reasons. I really, really do. But you know, I knew immediately after they would announce a 2023. You know, one thing I can say about cons, I've been to a lot of cons. I've been to a lot of cons like each year, like of the same con, and you know, there's always issues, and there's always like the lines. The lines are always going to be like, for instance, this weekend I'm going to a con where there's going to be over 100,000 people in 3 days. So like,
Get your ticket.
you know, I'm definitely expecting. Thankfully, I'm not going to be in any lines for celebrities. I'm going to have my own booth, but like, I'm definitely going to be expecting for people to say, "Oh, I waited 7 hours in line for Jeffrey Dean Morgan." You know, people like that. So like, you know, an hour doesn't sound too bad versus that, but I know like for this one in general, I've been to this one in Houston a few years ago, and they pack people in, and people are waiting hours and hours. But next year, I think they're gonna hopefully listen to people's feedback, and of course, you know, make some changes that are necessary, especially for food. Nobody should ever choose Nick over food.
Yeah.
No one. Okay?
They just needed
That's
more.
why I
They
always
needed-
did at the hotel before.
That's what SJ told me. She's like, I just ate at the hotel before and after.
That's what I did too, but I needed
Whatever.
a beer. I needed a beer, guys. I needed a beer.
Duly
And then
Really
noted.
important.
On Sunday, at least, they had like a beer kiosk outside that nobody was standing at, and they had like
Wow.
soup available, but they didn't have like everything that
Yuck.
inside has. But it was I think they needed more food lines. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I
Because I
think
would
they
wait
needed
an hour to meet.
they needed somewhere for you to eat your food because we got food on Sunday afternoon because Nick was supposed to leave after the boy band panel, but everybody's flights were getting delayed. All my friends' flights were getting delayed on Sunday. So we thought he wasn't coming back to his table, so we went to go get food, and we turn around and there's like nowhere to eat. I'm like, well, I'm not eating on the floor. So we had to go out, and they had very limited seating area, like outside the convention in like the lobby area. We had to go up the stairs to like the small bar area where they had tables. I'm like, why wouldn't you put like any kind of seating area to eat right outside the food court? And then we were up there eating, and another friend walked by and was like, yeah, Nick's back at his table. And we're like, well, great. Now we got to hurry up here and obviously go back down there. So, but I think if they would have had somewhere to eat right next to the food court, so people didn't have to sit on the floor or like travel to like the next level up to sit and eat, would have been good too.
They had a couple tables, but it wasn't enough.
It was like a pizzeria tape, like a couple, like a pizzeria would have. It wasn't enough for the volume of people that were there at all.
The food was good though.
Miss Stephanie,
What's
question.
Sorry.
Did you have to drink from a spigot and a hose? Because we did at Sweet Stock 2021.
No, but I love that.
Okay, well that's all I wanted to know then. That's it.
I love that you used the word spigot though.
Yeah,
I just was telling somebody about the word spigot today.
It was a hose
Look,
out of
you
the
know,
ground.
but in our defense, like we were hanging out with celebrities the whole time backstage. We didn't know we were so cool to just go up and go take their water bottles.
I would have never done that.
You know, like we just didn't know until people was like, yeah, y'all can take our waters. I'm like, oh, what?
Dedication to
But
the
you know,
craft,
here we are going across the whole way to go drink from a hose. And then, yeah, it was embarrassing.
Hey, you know what? It was
We
the
didn't
best
have
water
to do
there,
that.
though.
I really thought it was going to be like Firefest, but then I kept telling my friends, like, hey guys, we're in downtown Hartford. Like, if we need to eat, we can go eat. They don't have to house us.
They're not going to lock us in on an island
Nobody's
somewhere.
going to die. It's okay. But once you're in there, you don't want to leave, and you got to get food, and man.
Yeah, man. Shout out Ja Rule.
Look, guys, we're so thankful and absolutely happy that you guys were able to go to this convention, to go to this. I'm not going to call it once in a lifetime because it is going to happen again. But like, you know, like I said before, to have, you know, all these different people that we grew up on watching on TV and movies and shows and music all in one room. It's every person's dream pretty much for the 90s. And but we want to thank you guys for kind of just, you know, keeping us in the loop and sending us photos and giving us the play-by-play, Leah. every 2 minutes, Leah was like, all right, here's what's happening.
How were you able to do that? The reception in there was horrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah, that's what she was telling me. And she somehow got it, though, because, man, like I can probably pretty much tell you about Leah's day and night at these conventions.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm
sorry.
9 o'clock. No, it's great, though, because we got to live it through you guys. And we're definitely appreciative of you guys going and just having a blast. And next time, next year, we'll definitely be there. It's going to be, I think it's going to be like a 2.0, 5.0 of what you guys got this year, you know?
Yeah, Millennium Tour 2.0. We AJ pushes for it, so we do too. But lastly, go get your tickets at pandemictour.com. Go see the frickin' Frack show down there. Hey, Frack, guess what? Happy 2 weeks, or happy 2-year week, buddy.
2 years, man. 2 years.
Guys.
Sunday, right? I think it's
the
Sunday.
20th, whenever that is.
I think
20th.
Sunday's the
I'm
first
so
day of the
late.
week, though. So it'd be like next week.
Hey, you know what? Whenever this is released, happy 2-year week.
Yeah,
I love
that
you
works
guys
too.
to death. You know, thank you for being here with us. Hey, this is episode 83. This is a podcast for the fans, Caleb.
By the fans.
The frickin' Frack Show.